All right, guys, what's up? What's up? Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back to another live session. Hope you guys are feeling good. Hope you guys are well rested. As you're tuning in, be sure to hit that thumbs up. So it's another beautiful day, and here we are once again. So for those of you tuning in on YouTube, be sure to check out the disclaimer and remember that day trading is risky business. Do not use money that you cannot afford to lose. Remember, copy trading does not work here on the live stream. Remember, I do not invest for my subscribers, so be careful of fake accounts. I will never message you first, okay? So watch out for fake accounts. Other than that, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and let's take a quick look at the watch list here. So there's a few stocks. JFBR, top stock I'm looking at. There's also STSS and IVF. Those are my top three. I also did take a look to see if there's a hot penny stock. Didn't see any. So I think so far the list is good. JFBR up over 100%. IVF up 42%. STSS did pull back a little bit, but up 22%. ULY looks like the volume is a little lighter, so not really super interested in that one. But the scans are looking lovely here. Looking decent, right? Looking pretty good. Got something up 100%. Can't complain about that. So looking at JFBR for a couple of trend lines here, we got the pre-market highs at 186. Low of our last pullback has been 158. It's been a nice consolidation here, actually. Looks pretty decent. That tells me that the pre-market traders might have had some good trades, some good action. And hopefully we can see some bullishness carry over into the market open. So looking at the daily chart here, I'm seeing that the 200 EMA is at 515, and honestly, it doesn't seem like we have a ton of resistance up until that level. Let's double check here. 396, 383, okay, about 390. Going back to December of last year, we did have a topping wick or two. But still, 175 to 390. That looks pretty decent. That looks pretty decent. So we'll see. JFBR. All right, looks really good. STSS and IVF. So I'll look at IVF here. IVF currently up 39%. This one a bit of a continuation move as we had a push 2-3 days ago, and pre-market highs that day was 550, although we did sell off pretty dramatically even before the open. So today we're getting a bit of a spike back up, and the highs very high, 331, low of the current pullback, 196. Since then we've pushed up to 224. Not bad. But, we'd love to see a retest of the pre-market highs up there, 330. Is that possible for IVF? Again, up 40%, 14 million shares of volume. So moving on now to STSS. And then we'll have about 10 minutes to the opening bell. STSS. Pre-market highs 790. Lows of our current pullback 588. VWAP is at 670. It seems like we might be bottoming out here a little bit. Could be primed for an uptrend. Daily chart looks a little messy. Let me clean up a couple of these prior trend lines that I had. Sometimes these stocks will have splits, and then the trend lines that you had there kind of makes no sense anymore, you know? Yeah, so looking at our current range, it's a pretty big range actually. So lows are 336, highs are 1560. So we're currently at 628. You know, $10 would be a decent target, but you know, if we are to get up to 1560, then it'd be a pretty hot move, especially if the volume remains. But you know, can we see 8, 9? Even 8, 9, 10 would be like a great move. So 1560 for the high of this, you know, range in the daily chart would be pretty impressive. But not sure what to expect from this one. The volume seems to have died out a little bit. Started off pretty strong around 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. for the early pre-market traders, but as of 7:40, 7:45, the volume has been flatlining here and getting even lower as we go. So you know, we'll need a bit of a revive for this one to get going. And yeah, those are the three stocks. So, you know, I guess since it's so early here, we'll do a bit of an early game plan. We'll start up the screen recording and be ready to go. So let's open up another OBS. Guys, by the way, OBS is free, right? For those of you who don't know, OBS is free. Free screen recording software. Yeah, so that's the watch list. You know, that's the scans. We got the screen recording going. I guess we can talk a little bit about how we want to approach the day. It's been a pretty slow market the last few weeks. A lot of great traders that I know are, you know, somewhat sideways. Some people are red, some are in a drawdown. Some people are getting by with like smaller green days. You know, we had some traders who had like their first red week of the year, their first red month, stuff like that. So, you know, whilst there's just another day or two, well, actually, it's the last day of the month. For me personally, it's not a time to be a hero and say, hey, I'm only green a couple thousand on the month. Time to go, you know, 500,000 shares and try to make 30K today. That's not the plan. The beginning and end of months mean nothing to me, right? In fact, it's just another day. So, understanding the current temperature that we're in, things are slow. Honestly, the best thing that comes to mind is to get green and get out. And I spoke about how I've been sticking around for the sake of the live stream. What I'm going to do is there's two approaches, right? Actually, yeah, there's two. So the goal is to get green and either shut it down or get green, and if I stick around, X out everything and just hang out, maybe do like a Q&A, right? And that literally could be like the first, you know, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, the last 2 days is literally the first 3 minutes of the day, right? Both days, I'm up a couple $100. I'm asking myself, you know, should I just take this and leave, right? Knowing that the market is so slow and choppy. Yesterday, we had a good stock in WW early, you know, but I got caught a few times with size, trying to get even more out of the move, right? Get more out of the market. So honestly, getting green and just getting out of here, it's not a bad thing in these type of environments. It's hard for me to stay and use small size, you know, like 10 shares, 100 shares. It's hard to do that because what happens is something ends up looking good and then I want to take it with size. So it's either I'm here and I'm not looking at charts, or I'm gone. Like this, it's just knowing who I am. I just can't. There's not an in between of like, hey, I'll just stay 5 shares. You know, even when I start the day slowly with like small size, once we start to pick up pace and we're seeing good trades and a good stock, I'm going to size up. It just seems like the natural thing to do, right? So, and I know, like, it sounds so simple, like, hey, make your money, go down 5 shares, hang out, still trade. In a perfect world, that's exactly what I should be doing. Maybe I need more discipline, perhaps, right? I'm not a perfect person, so I will admit that, as simple as that sounds, which is a lot of what of trading is, I kind of know myself, and that's going to be very difficult for me. So JFBR, let me pull this one back up, and now's a 2-minute warning there. Get my charts in place. Let's get my share size set. All right, looking good, as we should. I'll post the list here. I actually didn't post it. I'll post it here. You can pull up the scans again for anybody now tuning in. You guys know I've been using Momo Pro for some time. Right now, checking out day trade dash scanners. So far, so good. So far, so good. So we got 40 seconds to the opening bell. Forty seconds to the opening bell. Let's be sure to keep it tight, stay disciplined, manage risk, and trade to the best of our abilities here. So far, it's a pretty contained move, I'd say. IVF also moving up a little bit. STSS, not much on that one. IVF is also, looking interesting. STSS, how are we doing? STSS, can we hold up? It's coming back down. High of 44, low of 07. JFBR in a bit of a range for now. ULY halted up. JFBR, nice pullback and bounce right there, actually. Unless it's a magic wick. ABVE, how are we doing? Low of 63, high of 85. Not watching a JFBR just yet because we're not really uptrending. It seems like it's trading in a range though, which is not that bad. IVF could be interesting over 50. IVF is taking off. IVF. I'm gonna pull it on screen as soon as I can. It's a nice move over to view up at 250 to 260. IVF. Not the best fills there. And it's coming down. Of course. Of course it is. These days nothing's holding up. The bad fills don't matter as much if the stock can continue. Can we get over 60 and hold above 60? It's a second try to charm. Where's that bid? That bid might be gone. Watching. IVF. Highs are at 80. Early on that one. 59 for the lows. 56. The key is, can we hold the VWAP though? So far, so good. I like that we held up. Can we continue to hold up our key levels? IVF. The key question is will we see a new high here? I think so. We're looking bullish enough. Not the best fill, but okay. Quite didn't quite sell off. It didn't quite sell off, so let's see. Oh, and I get stopped out. I stopped out at literally the low of the candlestick. Bro, what was that? Like, where did I get filled? Rejection. Where did I get filled on that push? I don't know. This might sell off. Like we only got to 67 right there, or 70. We didn't even get close to the highs of 80. We took a $600 loss on the dip at 50. Not good. I stopped out at the bottom of the candlestick thinking it's breaking down. I'm losing interest in this stock. Like, is there anything else? FRGT doesn't look that much better. Let's see. ABVE. Not much there. FRGT, we'll see what it does. Can we see the push over 70? Over 80? We're getting topping wicks on all of our candlesticks. Watching to see how low the flag is going to come. These stocks this week, I tell you, man. I should have used the market. All right, we got a minute left in this candle here. Let's see how this does. Time. There's another 4 minutes left in this 5 minute candle. I think we could retake 3 eventually. So I'm just waiting patiently. We haven't seen any volume yet after the drop, so just waiting. There's 30 seconds to the new 5-minute candle. Well, okay, all right. I guess that's the day, brother. I guess that is the day. There was a hidden seller at 85, but okay, all right. There was a hidden seller, and then there was an actual seller of 25,000 shares that came up. Not that big of a seller. I wasn't worried about the stock selling off, but you know, here we are, weaker market conditions. All the 5-minute setups that I took this week failed, including this one. So we get the nice move up, buying the old-fashioned classic previous resistance, which we've been doing for years. Can previous resistance become support? It would seem that that is not the case here. The move going up, a little unfortunate, I think, that we got stopped out here. In hindsight, what I could have maybe done was waited a little bit more for my ADA. We had a high of 280. I was buying the dip at 50 here. My stop was at 44, and the stock literally comes to 44, and I stop out at the bottom of the candlestick. My first entry was 55. I added at 49, but I probably got filled towards like 50, 52. So my average became 53-ish. And I stopped out 44. Tight stop, not bad. But stopped out literally at the bottom of the candlestick here. So missed this move coming back up towards, 70 right here. Let's say mid 60s to high 60s, low 70s. That would have been a nice trade. This one, after the topping wicks and this early pullback, this is where I thought the stock might have washed out, right here. Let's clear this drawing off. Yeah, I thought we might have washed out right here and like sold off. So I didn't take this dip. But once this dip held up, I'm like, okay, we stand a much better chance now for potentially curling. This move, a little sudden, I'm not in. It's a good move. It's one of these areas where it's like a little 50-50. If you see the volume spike coming and you want to just go for it with a tight stop, you could potentially catch this nice breakout. I missed it. Took the dip at 80 and stopped out at the bottom of the candlestick at 67. Come on, right? That trade was ridiculous. Anyhow, because we had such a low pullback initially, I didn't trust this flag enough. It held up nicely, as in the range. So we had a high of 315, low of 95, and this is a good range right here if you're being aggressive. I thought the range might have been a little bit bigger, so a little reluctant to buy 95, but pretty good. If you're taking all these trades here actively, 95, 305, like a 10-cent range. And then the 5-minute setup, of course, is in the depths. So if I was green going up, I would have still been in this trade, regardless. I would have took the same loss right there. but no green going up in the first move to offset the bigger loss at the end. So, red day recap. And I had sides early again because the stock was, it was moving pretty good. It's moving pretty good. I was losing interest initially when I saw this, but after the recovery, I'm like, okay, all right, I'll kind of give it a chance. This and then again mentioning, I thought we could have sold off here. Oh, the market, I tell you. What a way to end the month. Let's import and see, and I'll do a bit of a Q&A, and then I am out of here. Well, I guess it was going to be an early day one way or another, right? This market's playing games with me here, but it's all good. The short sellers will feel the pain soon enough when we get back to a more bullish incline. What a disaster, man. April, we got to go back to the 25th and import. Time to check out our metrics. Bro, what was my accuracy today? 10%? Like, my accuracy's been like 10% the last 8 days. Complete and utter miserable. Like that breakout to then dip back down to 67, bro. Like, what is, like, oh, that's just ridiculous. At that point, we might as well sell off all the way in that one candle. We get to 307, and then we're back down at 66. Come on. Two red days to end the month. Disaster. And let's look at net, because there's way more fees. Disaster, bro. Complete and utter disaster. 4K red last week. This STSS. This market, I tell you. Watch when we get back into a hot market, man. New highs, new limits, new size, new levels. STSS, we'll see if maybe it becomes a little bit better as it goes. Here's a pullback. High was 39. I have to import again if I really start trading it. I'll take the 4K, but you know, what a sad month. Where were we? Are we on single screen? Oh yeah, we are. Yeah, so here it is. The calendar for April. This is abysmal. Mediocre at best. Market conditions suck. I think the best day of the month was the 21st in terms of like the momentum. This is the type of day where you could be up like 20,000 if you're on the right side of things. It was a pretty hot day. I was on the wrong side of things on this day. Took bigger losses. Finished in the red. Last week, not a good week. Friday, again, the accuracy, the theme. The accuracy, the theme. Well, so here it is. Here's the averages. Pretty, pretty slow. We average 225 bucks a day, which is like red Monday, Thursday, Friday. Bro, I can't even look at this. Like, this like takes me. This feels like I'm back in 2022, right? But you know, as I'm complaining and whining in terms of like educational purposes and like and constructive criticism and motivation, of course, it's not the end of the world. I'm being a little dramatic here, if you guys couldn't tell. You know, the thing is with as a trader, it's a business, right? And when we get to seeing pretty big numbers, you want to see those numbers all the time, every time. And that's just not the reality of what we're doing here, right? Even in a business, there's an ebb and a flow, there's a cycle, there are hotter periods, colder periods, you know, and that's what it's all about, right? So when it's colder, you make sure to at least protect yourself as best as you can, keep it tight, you know, don't overtrade, don't be overly aggressive, all those things like that to give yourself a good chance at coming out on the other side. And we did do that last month. We ended red, but in it was because we tried something different, right? Like for 2 weeks we were like swinging and doing some crazy stuff, trying a different part of the strategy, a little bit of uncharted territory, right? So we made up our mind to do that, knowing that we'd be sacrificing potential gains. This month we're back to normal schedule programming, and it's been pretty slow. So all part of the deal, you know, you can make 100K in a month and then have a month like this, right? And sometimes it can happen back to back. You can be best month ever, then slowest month ever. complete and utter disaster. And I've actually lost money when the SPY has been down, which is usually not even the case. And as we know, a lot of cash passes through my account. 110,000 in gains, 105,000 in losses. Usually I'd retain 20% of my gains. This is absolutely tragic. This is not even, close to 20%. This is the month, 10K at best, 11K at best. And then we've been in a drawdown ending at 4,700. Here's the drawdown. Started on the 15th. And it's so crazy that this is happening in this month. Last month, because I'm saying this because I'm supposed to be on a vacation at this time of the year, every year, right? Back in my home country to like go back around this time. And I keep saying, no, I'm not going. Last year, much better reasons though. We were, really killing it last year up to this like date of like the 15th. And then here, I'll show you guys, right? It's the craziest thing. If we do January 1st to April 15th, let's say, of last year. Let's just look at the okay, there we go, last year. I'll pull up the calendar. So if we go to, bro, this is like madness. Whenever you guys see me smile and shake my head, it's just like it's unbelievable. Can't make this stuff up. 2024. This platform is having some trouble loading. January, nice month. February, great month. And then March, another solid month coming in. And then April. Look at week 2 onwards. Should I buy my ticket now? It's not too late. Now, on the other hand, though, it did pick back up on Thursday, May 16th. This is when we had FFIE. This day, I was having a red week, right? A bit of a drawdown, actually. So this day, bro, I remember this day so clearly. This day, I'm like, hey, get green, get out. And then, of course, I come back and then I see the craziest P&Ls in the chat room in like weeks. And I'm like, bro, there's no way. And it took me a while to start trading penny stocks. FFIE was a penny stock. It took me like a good week and a half to say, okay, you know what? The penny stocks are what's moving. Let's really try to dial in there. And then, the penny stocks came, and then it led to higher stocks being stronger again. And so right here, we got back on track, and then, so forth and so forth. And into June and so forth. But man, I tell you, like, unbelievable to see the market be this slow. But part of the deal. It just means it'll be that much hotter when it's time. Part of the deal. Coming back to 2025. Oh yes, erase the filter. January. Not really a great month. This was a hotter month, and we had some trouble with the volatility. February, pretty choppy. We did have this monster day, but it was still a pretty choppy month. And then March, this is the month where it was just depths, absolute depths. First red month in 2 years. First 2 weeks, pretty slow. Kept it tight though, as you guys can see here. Kept it tight. Week 3, the team house week. Was that week? Yeah, this was it. I think that was this week. Was it week 2? Was it week 3? Well, I'm having trouble remembering. Am I looking at the right month? I don't know. I think so. Yeah, yeah. This. I think this is it. I can't remember which week was the team house week. It might have been week two. I think it was week two. Oh yeah, I think it was week two. So this was the team house week. This is where I came back and then tried the new implementation to the strategy. It's kind of crazy, man. Like, a lot of those days, man, it's always so close. If you feel so close, it is. It's always close. A lot of what we did on this 2 week time frame, I think, will show in a hotter market when we do see some pretty obvious setups and we're willing to take that size behind it. But so far, the year's been on the slower side. Last year, at this time, we've already made closer to 200,000. This year, we're at like 50K, right? Not ideal. So last year, actually, the back half of the year, or let's say the middle of the year, is pretty slow up until Q4. So we'll see. Maybe we get a hotter summer. If we get a hot summer, I mean, I'd enjoy that. Like if we get mid-May to like July again, hot market, that would be nice. That would be lovely. But the key here on this channel is transparency, and I want to always show you guys the reality of being a trader. Right? This is the reality. This is what it is. There's no hiding. There's no running. If you choose to be a full-time trader, this is the swings that comes with it, right? And it's also important to remember that when you're going through hotter markets, to be smart with cash as well, and not like splurge cash and just wildly go out and spend your money, right? I'm gonna switch my screen in the chat here to the other screen. I always forget. There we go. Yeah, this is the month, right? So it's always good to save cash, make sure to pay your taxes. That way you're never behind on any bills, clear out any bad debt. Like if you have a big monster month, 50K, 100K, 300K, whatever, try to clean out any bad debt, right? If you have a car loan, maybe you bought a Toyota, 20K, whatever, get rid of that loan, get rid of that debt, wipe it out, student loans, all those bills, you just, kind of take care of them, pay your taxes. That way, at least when it's slow like this, it's not, not so bad. $4,700. A lot of people would still, like to make this kind of money in a month, especially if you're smaller size, using maybe just a couple hundred shares. Again, for me, I'm being a little dramatic, but part of it is that when you're seeing these big monster months, part of you feels like every month should be that. But we gotta always be realistic and understand the market that we're in, and kind of just life in the ups and downs, the peaks and the valleys. So beyond the complaining, that's the lesson, right? Even when you turn the corner, there'll be slower points. There's other traders out there who might be in drawdowns, who might be red on the month, who might be frustrated with the year, things like that. But you gotta keep your head up, pace yourself, and know that in due time, once the momentum swings a little bit to the other side, you'll be able to see a little bit more consistency. And this is where we are in my spectrum, like on a consolidation here, pretty much. If we zoom in, there's nothing to be complaining about, of course. We still have to have that grand perspective, not just today, but for tomorrow, right? The future, next week, next month, next year, the next 5 years. So to be in a small consolidation. You know, are we going to break up the upside or break out, let's say, or are we going to break down and then Christmas tree? We managed risk way too well to have any sort of Christmas tree here, right? There's so much lag here with this drawing tool. So we're going to consolidate. You can bet money on it. If you want to go to Vegas and bet money on anything, this is what you can bet money on. I can guarantee. Now, once we're in a hotter market again, the equity curve, just like a bullish stock, right now we're just soaking, accumulating shares right here. And then, boom, 20K day. And then it starts RT sizing up, going to new heights, winning. So much winning that will reinvent the term for winning. But for now, we hang tight, we wait. The slowest month last year, and I'll check the comments out here in a sec, just to see if there's any questions coming in. The slowest month last year in comparison, if we come back to the calendar here, 2024, I believe it might have been, was it May? Or was it, it might have been May. Yeah, I think it might have been May. June, July. June was kind of slow for me too. July, I think July was a little bit better. Oh, July also a little slow. So the summer months last year, you know, not as hot for me. August, first 2 weeks pretty slow. Last 3 weeks a little bit better. September also a little slower. October. And this was actually a hot month too. So both January of this year and October of last year, I had trouble, like, during some of the hotter days. For October of last year and January of this year. And December, Monday is a little weaker, but week 2, we had some trouble. 4 red days, 3 in a row. Yeah, that's the year. Let me see what you guys are saying, if there's any questions. And Ross is the OG right now. But one day, we will be there. We should take off every April till August. Nah, I mean, I don't know about that. That I don't know about. The reason I mentioned that vacation is just because it's a thing that, like, some of my family members will do around that time of year. It's hard for me to take off though, man. It just, you know, I think until I get to the enjoyment stage of life, it's going to be hard to take vacations. Now, you still have to pace yourself, do it when you need to recharge. You know, when you come back from a vacation, you're rested, you're ready. You're ready to go. So it's good to take them when, you know, you're feeling burned out. But part of my mind feels at times, if I'm not burned out, right, outside of being burned out, part of me feels like it's like wasting time. Like it's gonna take more time to get to where I want to be the more time I take off. But I think we should do it when we're burned out. If we're not burned out and I'm on a vacation, it's like, bro, what am I doing here? I want to be in the grind. I want to be building a future where I don't have to work or even trade if I don't want to. Why didn't I trade WW today? Well, I was occupied with IVF. WW, I mean, it's still going. I don't think Marcelo's red on the month. I doubt it. The Mighty is consistent. I know you had the red week maybe last week, but the Mighty must have had some good days throughout the month. Bro, the Mighty, you can't underestimate the Mighty. The Mighty Lion. The Mighty is the chosen one. WW, let's see the level 2. How are we looking here? As usual, I got a pretty bad cold. So you guys see me walking off screen like 100 times. Cold is messing with me again. What's the biggest winner and loser this year? Yeah, 9K, biggest winner. We could have had a bigger winner than 9K, believe it or not. But on that day, we were chicken, man. We got cold feet at the moment. We got cold feet. 20K drawdown for the Mighty, bro. One scratch trade. Like, once we get a nice hot day, the Mighty will be up 20K, bro. Mark my words. Family's life from Jimmy. Ross's trading style is pretty good for pre-market too. Like the way how he holds longer, ads. Like back in the days, he had like more live streams on YouTube. You guys might have seen like him holding and adding. I remember that day I saw him trade GameStop, bro. Holy smokes, like maniac, just like the rest of us. Like to do those numbers and be fearless, courageous, confident in the moment. That's what it's all about for each of us. Like, shout out to the bigger traders who are holding it down, right? You got Ross, one of the big dogs in the trading space for sure. One of the big dogs in the trading space. Why is the P&L in Discord not available anymore? Jonathan. Well, so initially the community had went over to a subscription model, I think January of last year. And a part of that was because we needed to keep out the scammers, right? What these people do, they'll join the chat room and can I show you guys how it would look? Well, I don't think I'll just try to explain it. They'll join the chat room, and in any section where it's open, they'll see a list of traders, and they take down all these names, and then they message these people individually, pretending to be myself, with a fake Relentless trading account. They message everybody one by one, over and over, like this is their full-time job, and it's just too much of a problem again, right? It eased off. We opened up the open floor, and then we also allowed you guys to see the P&L section. If you were not a member, you could see the P&L section, but you weren't able to type. We have to close everything off again to get rid of these scammers, man. It's just too much of a problem in the community. So the chat room is completely locked off, and well, locked off is probably not the right way to say it, but there's a subscription, $14. Yeah. 55K. Yeah, definitely. Level two. Well, I'm primarily watching at the bid, the ask, and the tape in the side of my eyes. Volume fluctuations, things like that. Bigger bids, bigger sellers. That's what I'm usually looking at on level two. What I haven't been recently is as jumpy and as aggressive, as in we'll see something, like we'll see a reaction, but then I don't really jump in because a lot of the times we're just seeing losses in those areas, right? So that when the actual breakout, like the last two big breakouts that we had the last 2 3 days, that's kind of why I'm not in, right? Like in those hive day areas, we might be consolidating. Like let's pull up the chart really quickly, right? Looking back at IVF, it's like technically, most of these candles here could have went. Well, we had the initial push up, but right here, right here, right here, these two, and then again right here. And it's like the amount of trades that I could take in these areas if I'm trying every single time. By the time the breakout actually comes, like I could be red so much, right? Just off of the paper cuts of losing 1 cent, 1 cent, 1 cent, 2 cents, 2 cents. By the time the breakout comes, I'm more likely to catch it because I'm just taking every single volume spike, change in the tape, whatever. By the time the move comes, it's like I'm flat or even still red, right? So I'm like only looking to take a few. Last two times, not as aggressive as I needed to be to jump in. And these are massive trades. You catch these trades right here, it changes the day drastically. Yesterday was from 250 to 298, or 350 to 4, whatever it was. And today we're seeing another 50-cent move, this time over the whole dollar. So this is actually 60 cents. Was it from no, never mind. It was from 70 or 80. It was from 75. So 25 plus 5 over the level, 30 cents. You capture 30 cents right there, your day looks completely different. What broker am I using? So I'm utilizing Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab, formerly known as TD Ameritrade. Those guys, was it a merger or buyout by a bigger firm, Charles Schwab? The platform is called Think or Swim. Think or Swim. How come you don't trade like Ross if he is so successful? I think it comes down to style. At one point, I used to hold longer back in the days, but this trade here is actually the trade where I lost is actually a good example of it, right? So a lot of times, what would happen, I'd be green in a trade, and then the stock just completely and utterly sells off. So what I started to do was like, yo, every time that I'm up, so in this situation where I lost, in this move down, I'm in at 75. The moment that I'm seeing some resistance, just take the profits. And I did see resistance up at 85. But in this particular dip, I'm looking to let it play out more, let it do its thing, knowing that we had highs at 320. We're still down here at 280, 285. I do think we can break the hidden seller over time and continue to curl back up to 3 and then 305. So I got frustrated back in the days of being in setups where I'd be green unrealized and then stock flushes down and I take a loss. So I'm like, every time there's resistance, I'll just take the gain. Every time, every time. Even if it's just 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, whatever, take the gain. And then get back in again. And then get back in again and again and again. So, I think it kind of depends on where you find the success, maybe earlier in your trading stage. in your trading career. If it's working well, then holding longer, 5, 10, 15 minutes, maybe you stick to it. But if it's choppy, then you know. By the way, be sure to hit that thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. We only have 95 likes. Hit the thumbs up for the transparency here. The number one thing that you guys can guarantee from me is no tricks nor gimmicks, but the real deal. Have you ever used the on-demand feature? I've used it a couple times, not a ton, because usually the level 2 on Thinkorswim is not great for me. Like if I had the DAS level 2, or let's say Thinkorswim just had a better level 2, then I'd be in the on-demand probably like 2 hours a day, retrading days from like 5 months ago, 6 months ago. Like the rate at which you could improve would be so crazy. Like, but if you're primarily using the charts to trade, I think it's a great feature, right? But if you're missing that level 2, that's where you can have some trouble. There's lag. Oh, someone's saying it's laggy. Yeah, Gary's saying it's pretty laggy. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes they reallocate things, right? Schwab is probably not giving it any attention. Probably took off the developers, the engineers. Back in the days, even the simulator at Thinkorswim for Ameritrade, back when they were under Ameritrade, the simulator was really, really good. Like it was just as fast as like real time trading, basically. Yeah, I have DAS connected, but I do not execute through DAS. I'm executing through Thinkorswim. Sometimes you tune in. Jack's saying sometimes you tune in to check out to see what tickers are moving. Yeah, and we'll have up the scans from time to time here too, or sometimes all the time. You can always take a look at the scan. I think for breakouts, do we try every pop? I, I don't try every pop, and that's why I kind of sometimes miss some of the moves, but some people are more active. Some people will trade way more shares and take way more trades. I think we're caught up. I think we're caught up. I'll show the monthly P&L one more time and then that'll do it. I'm out like south. Hopefully next month we can see some better momentum starting tomorrow. Who knows? The year's going by pretty quickly though, right? I mean, it's already May, right? Every year we come in with a New Year's resolution, and the goal is to always stick to the plan and continue to improve, continue to get better. Spreadsheets. Do you keep spreadsheets on setups? So to track my metrics, I'm utilizing softwares. Um, in fact, I'm building my own right now. It'll be ready uh, in a few weeks to a few months. But I utilize software. I'll pull it up here. So here's the month of April. Bro, what's this guy on, bro? I have aligners in my mouth right now, right? So it's hard for me to talk. If I sound like I'm slurring words or I have a lisp, that's why. What will we do in these slow, dead market conditions, man? Uh, do you trade on prop firm account? No, I do not. I utilize my own buying power. Started off with some debt, about 25,000 in debt, and 2K, 2,500 of my own money, and went from there. So I paid off my loan after some time, and then eventually, I was just building my account from there. I remember at one point I just had like 30K in my account, but I was fluctuating between like 27 and like 35K because I'd always take out money to either help out my bro or pay bills, pay off the debt, stuff like that. My account was just between 27,000 and like 35,000. 30,000 to 38,000, 30,000 to 38,000 for like like almost like 2 years basically. Not to like get into the story, too deep, but yeah. Until we finally paid off our debts, and from there we got more aggressive. Keep it classy, keep it classy. All right, okay, so yeah, my bro. So we started at the same time, like we both used the simulator. He did better than I did in the sim. And it's quite a I know I keep talking, like I break things up, but it's a little tragic we didn't get to do the interview at this last team house. We kind of didn't really manage our time the best. It's just a missed opportunity. Anyhow, we started at the same time, both in the simulator, and he did better than I did in the simulator actually. But coming in, I think at the time, I think I had the better credit because we did credit card arbitrage to fund our accounts, and I went live. He was still in the sim. He did really well in the sim actually, like in the hotter years of 2019, I think. He did really well. So anyhow, I went live, and he was saving at the time, borrowed money, and then I gave him a big chunk of the money I made to go live. And when he went live, it was not good. It was like a lot of losses. So being at like 28K, like the account would, or 27K, whatever he was at, the account would like drop 1K below PDT or like 3K below PDT, like throughout the first 6 months, 8 months. And so like I would give him the money every time, like, oh bro, we'd have like a pep talk, like a meeting. It's like, take it slow, be careful, try to build a cushion. But I think he fell victim like to being too aggressive right away. When you're starting out small, close to the PDT, like I think you got to keep in mind where your account is, despite how much success you might have had in the simulator or in prior trading. You still don't want to be too aggressive to where, like in a sim, he could lose like 3K in a day, but he'd make like 5K, like 4K, 3K, 2K, like it's normal numbers like for an entire year straight. So I mean, you have some monster days too, and it's like all trading the right way, like how you're supposed to trade, like how you're supposed to treat the market, like no cheating, no, hey, I'm gonna take 30K size into a halt up or something crazy like that, like just pure straight trading. But he had days too where I think he was down like 40K like in a day. His biggest day might have been like 60, 70. He's the best person I could describe him to is like Save right now, or maybe not right now, but like maybe before this newer explosion. But somebody who like if they're up like 40K in a day, a couple times a month even, you're not surprised. This guy is like that type of potential. So I think coming in, like you still as a trader though, you got to be aware of where you are with your capital and how you want to proceed, and make sure you have a plan that you're sticking to, right? You can't allow another thing too is that you can't allow like any baggage, right? Like if you have trouble at some point and you know that you're a good trader, like you can't allow any doubts to seep into your mind. Like a month like last month for me, bro, like, and I think even if you don't have separation, if you don't have cushion, you still have to like believe that you can do it. If you start to doubt that you can be a good trader, if you start to doubt that you're not the guy, for those of you who've seen Spy Kids, you have to be the guy. You have to be the girl, right? That one person out of 10, you go into a room right now for any sort of training and they tell you look left, look right. The person to your left and right is not going to make it. You have to already know, well, I'm making it. Like there's no other option other than me making it. And not to put pressure on yourself, but to have confidence, right? And you don't want to, you have to be in like a Goldilocks zone almost, right? You can't be too headstrong about it and you can't be too passive about it either. Like you have to be confident and firm, but not to the point where you're pushing too hard and then you start over trading and having that pressure on yourself to perform, and then before you know it, that then leads to you not doing well, right? Will I build my own scanner? I mean, we'll see. It's not impossible. It's definitely not off the list. It's not impossible. Probably. I'd say probably, but I don't know for sure. Let's see. Finally over PDT, but struggling with sizing up. Any tips for Mojo? For myself personally, share size kind of came naturally as a direct result of gaining more experience, being more confident, and seeing more cash in my account. So having some separation from the poverty line, and not, being able to see 10K in my account, then 20K, that's what really gave me the confidence to take more and more size. But I think there's a way to potentially do it faster than that. And, I think planning could be a part of it. Seeing hotter weeks, seeing hotter days, and performing well on those days, doing your reviews and knowing that, hey, well, in this trade where I took 300 shares, I could have been in double the size, triple the size, and could have gotten the same fills. And then you start to program your mind towards what that would look like on a green or red day. And perhaps you can maybe what's the word? Accelerate that learning curve when it comes to share size. So, sitting there as you're going through your revisions and asking yourself, what size could I have taken in this same trade? Those type of questions like that, and maybe coming up with a plan to approach the market with a little bit bigger, a little heavier, let's say, and looking to execute the same way that you do now. Not because it's a bigger share size, you're going to sell the trade early or take the profits right away, but you're instead going to still let the trade play out how it's supposed to play out under the context of your setup and your strategy. Also, you can utilize us as motivation. What a lot of people will do, like, again, everybody thinks they're the best, right? Here's the reality of trading, right? People are going to look at me, even on a day, like a nice day like this, right? The 24th. Yo, RT made 4K. No, 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 no. I think I could make more than RT here, right? Like whatever you have to use to like be hungry about it, like that, that's what you have to do, right? That's what you have to do. How is Raw screen every day? I think it comes down to style, experience as well. I think he has like 10, 15 years of trading experience. His trade style is pretty good. With the longer hold times, he's a master over his strategy, his mind. There's mastery right there. I think everybody, there's for those of you like you can't be in a bubble either. As great as a trader as Ross is, there's people that we know who've made And Ross even has some students that make more than him nowadays. Um, not to take anything away from him, of course, but there's once you get into even like Twitter and other communities as well, like there's some pretty crazy traders out there. Some people making millions of dollars even in a day. It might sound fake. It might sound hard to believe, especially if you're newer to the channel, you're newer to trading. You hear you can make $1 million in a day. Yeah, you can. And in fact, people do it pretty calmly too. Like just like how I can make 1,000 in a day, like that's not what it is for them, right? It's different levels. There's different scaling. There's different factors. I think your personality is also part of it. Naturally, there's some people who are just. It's easier for them to be aggressive. Maybe their life experiences. Maybe they've been through some sort of traumatic experience, or maybe it could be like a DNA thing too, because not all of us are the same. Of course, you go into a classroom. There's like an introvert, someone who's more quiet. There's then a class clown. There might even be like a school bully or something, right? Like there's just different types of people. Somebody might be more, and like for me, like I always like to use the reference to mathematics, and there's people, some students, like the moment the equation goes on the board, boom, they got it right away. For me, I had to go back into tutoring. I had to go back to YouTube. Then I had to go to a peer. Then it's like, okay, I figured out the math problem, right? Some people right away. Crispy, Crispy does not have. Well, he does have a YouTube channel, but doesn't upload as much anymore. You guys can catch him in the chat room. He hangs out in there. How did you meet Mighty? Mighty was a guy in the comments section, just like the rest of you guys, believe it or not. But then what he did is that he joined the chat room. And back in the days, right, back in like 2020, 2021, 2022, we would hang out a lot more in our voice channels. So just like how I'm talking to you guys right here, voice channels in the chat room allows us to talk to each other in the same way if you have a mic. In fact, we've had virtual meetups where we put on our cameras too, like just to get to know each other as a community. And basically that's how I met him and most of the team house guys, really, the students, right? That's how the community kind of grew. But we would talk in there every day for hours, like as in like 50 people, and there'll be multiple rooms. Like there'll be 3 different rooms of like 15, 20 people each, like having different conversations. One room will get too full, and then a whole new room starts, and another room starts from there. Now I don't know, and that was during the pandemic, right? So I think naturally people wanted a sense of community, being that they were at home and stuck in the house. Nowadays, we'll do it, but you can see like people are just not as like active. Some people are actually afraid to talk in there. Like you have to know that like there is no question that's too silly. There's no, like, you can't be afraid, right? You can't be afraid to take the floor, start a conversation, ask something. Back then, it was so popular that like I would be out of here, and the talks or the conversations are going for hours and hours, right? Yeah, so that's kind of how I met Marcelo, and what happened was, I think we're in the chat room hanging out, and he's like, "Hey, RT, I think I turned the corner, bro. I turned the corner," and he made like a 5-minute video, and I posted it at the end of one of my recaps of him saying like he had this plant in his room, and it's like this plant is gonna grow, and just like this plant being green, we're gonna grow together, something like that. And that was the day that the Mighty became the real first Relentless student, right, to become successful. There are some people who started off maybe as like a warrior trader that found my channel, and then they started like hyper scalping. I don't know, like certain strategies kind of just fit you better, I guess, you know. And the mighty became we teamed up and made merciless markets, and now the mighty is as mighty as ever, dialing it in, locking it in. How do you extract your money from the broker? How is your produce? Your procedure? Is that it? Is that procedure? I can't read here today. Um, well, what you can do is attach like a bank account. It's really the simplest way. There's wires. You can do wires. I think the other one is called a ACH transfer. But you can basically put in your bank account information, depending on what bank you might have, whether it's like one of the bigger ones, a local one. Let's say Bank of America, for example. You'll put in your information, and then you can link your accounts, and so you can pay yourself in that way. Just keep in mind taxes and so forth. To be honest, I was supposed to make a tax video, but then I kind of just decided not to. It's just such a personal thing, you know. I do talk about it, but it's such a personal thing. Sometimes I wonder if it's like, maybe too transparent, right? Maybe then I'll show you. Man, the truth is that there's also people pocket watching, and like there's certain things that I kind of prepare myself for, right? Sadly, in a negative way, even as in the more successful you try to become, the more people will try to target you, and I don't want to be a pessimist and have a negative thinking manner, but it just seems like from what I can see, like for people who are trying to be successful, it just seems like that's just like a normal thing that happens. Like no matter how clean and transparent and pure you are, somebody tries to find a way to bring you down, right? So sometimes I wonder if I want to share everything, right? Now, like what I will say is this country caters to towards businesses, and if you have like an LLC that you trade under, you can save a little bit more. And this is really the gist of it, right? Like there's more write-offs that you can have. So for example, if you're paying for subscriptions, if your if your office space is part of like your garage or your house, or there's a particular section of your apartment that's dedicated towards your trading, there's certain things you can write off versus your income, right? So you end up paying a little less taxes. So like if there's certain rules, of course, for everything, but there's a certain amount of square footage for office spaces within your own home or apartment. For example, some people will have their trading operation be a part of your garage. Um, Again, subscriptions, chat rooms, scanners, courses, um, not even like networking. Like if you're doing like a massive event or seminar, those type of things, because it's for the sake of education and research, things like that. You can write. So if you make 100K, and let's say from all these expenses you spend 20K, then the amount that you'll be taxed on will be reduced to 80,000, right? And you're not saving the world of money, but you're saving, which is better than nothing. If you're just trading under your own name and just straight up, like that, right? So you're still gonna pay. We all have to pay, right? But you can save something. Something, even if it's 5K, you save is better than nothing, right? How essential is tape reading for hyper scalping? Very essential. In fact, it's so important that when DAS Trader is not working and my level 2 is not working, I cannot trade. Like some people can use the ladder, this thing right here. I don't use the ladder, right? Like some of the team house guys are really good with this ladder here. For me, if there's no level 2, I'm out of order. I'm out of business. That's it. It's a wrap on the day. So I'm always utilizing screens like this. Can I hold on? Let me show you guys my other screen. I have a whole nother screen, but my username is not going away. All right, I can do this. I can pull this here. I can pull this. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No, 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 no. That's not what I want to do. I can pull that here. Okay. I probably shouldn't have done that at all, but okay. Yeah. I guess I'll just show the screen. I utilize this level 2 here primarily. I tried to show the other ones, but it's just not going to work. All right. It's pretty important. Yeah, so you can save a little bit on taxes, but you know, you got to pay what you got to pay. There's a guy named Brian Rivera, tax like he's a CPA who happens to be a day trader and made content on day trading. He had a couple of good videos on like mark to market, setting up LLCs, setting up S corps, things like that. There's things you can do, but you have to like research and you know see what can work. But you will have to pay because we all must pay. I don't know Relentless, but I feel like a good what? No shouting out. What? I'm not sure what this is saying. No idea what that is saying, but okay. Why did Tim take down the videos? Tim decided he did not want the stress and the pressure. If he's listening to me, he's probably laughing. But Tim did not want the extra, you know, how do I want to say it? Responsibilities of, you know, being a mentor. Like that's just straight up, right? Being a mentor and like the responsibility of posting. For him, it felt more like it almost felt like a 9 to 5 job for him when he started trading to like you know leave that type of atmosphere behind because this puts you on a schedule, right? Like when you're like uploading to YouTube, like every day, like the audience demands and respects that you upload your content, right? Like if I stop live streaming, people are gonna say, where's this guy? Where's he? What is he doing? So Tim's like, you know what, man? But he'll still like you'll still see Tim in video when we meet up. Tim will still, you know, just for the fun in those you know team house trips. But on his own time, he's like doing other stuff. I mean, you know, the standard rate for capital gains. So someone is asking, is it worth the money you make? Is day trading worth it for the money that you'll make versus the amount that you'll pay in taxes? It's definitely worth it. Um, for every dollar you make, you'll pay 33 cents. The standard capital gains tax in America, right? In the states excluding perhaps Vegas and Nevada and Puerto Rico. I think those two areas have like some like different rules for it, but if you make a dollar, you'll have to pay 33 cents. That means you get to keep 66 cents. If you make a million, you'll be paying 300,000, 333,000, but you'll be keeping 366,000. You're paying a hefty chunk, but you're still keeping money at the end of the day. Let's keep coming down. Do you have any students who are in Canada? I know. Well, Marcelo's not from Canada. He's from South America. He did stay there for some time, but he's Um, I don't think so. I don't think we have any students from Canada, if I can remember correctly. There might be a few of them. I just can't remember off the top of my head. U.S. and South Africa have similar tax laws. In terms of traders who I've met in person, I've met Clover Trading. I met those guys. So like Kyle Williams, Jack Kellogg, those guys. Those guys are pretty cool guys, man. Down to earth. I've been to one of their. They had like a seminar in New York. Those guys are pretty cool guys. Who else? I met Humble Trader. I met Beat a Story. I met him at huge trading. Him and Humble I met at a huge trading conference in Vegas in 2020. Was that 2022? 2023? I think 20 end of 2022 or end of 2023. I think that was November 2023. I met Alex. Shout out to Alex Beat a Story. I was actually supposed to do I was supposed to do a podcast with him in like January of that year, of that new year, so 2024. I sometimes I kind of that day I did not see my DMs, brother. I was slacking. I was in the depths. Yeah, I met a couple people. So Steven Ducks I met. Well, I didn't really meet per se. He was there, but I didn't really get to meet him. He was at the Clover event in New York. Is there anybody else who was like more well known? There's probably been a few unknown people that I met that I didn't really know them. Marcelo met Ross a couple times. He says Ross is pretty cool in person as well. Wash sales does affect day trading. We do usually trade a different stock every day, but if you're trading the same stock, continuation names, a stock that might be going up over a few days, it's good to elect for mark to market to help with the wash sale. Mark to market, you can look it up on YouTube. So back in the days, what I used to do, I used to post my entire live trading to YouTube. I didn't even know I wasn't able. I shouldn't have been doing it, right? I would post everything, and that's basically how like Marcelo found me, and then started watching the channel. So I wasn't like a um I don't want to say like I didn't have a full on course per se, but people were watching, right? People were watching. Do I make money from YouTube? The money I make from YouTube is negligible. Negligible? Is that how you say the word? It's like $100 a month or something. And I think the questions are slowing down. Let me, you know what? I'm gonna X out my DAS here just to. How's the spy looking? The good old spy. Bouncing back. Bro. Man, oh man. My YouTube channel could make money. We can talk about that. If you're I made a video. I think I make I think I make like 400 bucks, maybe 300 bucks a month from YouTube. This field, there's different, so the way how YouTube works, depending on the space that you're in, it'll pay a different amount. I think they call it an RPM or CPM. Yeah, something like that, right? I think it's described as an RPM. And there's different categories. There might be travel content, exercise and gym content. There's going to be the financial space, which is then, trading and finance. You guys, like, if you guys know of like Meet Kevin or Graham. If you guys know Graham Stephan, or yeah, I think that's his name. Graham Stephan, Meet Kevin. Those are like also considered financial space, right? Trading, things like that. So each space will pay a different amount. I think the finance space pays about $9 per every 1,000 views. If you want to calculate how much, let's do it right now, right? If you want to calculate how much your favorite YouTuber makes, let's pull up Graham. I think social. There's an app called Social Blade. I mean, that's not pretty accurate though. We'll do the math right here. This is how you can see how much a guy like Graham is making. Graham Stephan, the big boy channel here. The big boy channel. Total views. His total views are 1,217,000,000. Let me pull out let's use a calculator and computer. Sheesh. What do you do? Dang, and I'm forgetting, it's been so long. Is it divided by 1,000? Okay, hold on. Let me just think for a second. Let me think for a quick minute here. So I don't. It's like there's like a small formula, nothing complex. Let's say. Yeah, I think, okay, yeah, you divide the number by 1,000. You divide your total views by 1,000, and then you times that amount by the money that is paid out for each category. So again, like, I think like travel vlogs will probably get like $5 every 1,000 views. Finance, I think, is like $8 or $7, maybe 9. I can't remember. And then YouTube takes 40% or is it 50%? They take like 40 or 50% of that money. And of course, don't forget YouTube is owned by Google. So okay, let's do the math. 2 billion, no, 1 billion. 1,217,000,000. Right? Divided by 1,000. Now, times that by, let's say, he's getting paid $8 per every 1,000. And these guys, so there's something called an adpocalypse that came, I think, back in like 2019. Apparently before then, it might have been like 10x the amount that you would get paid for 1,000 views. Or maybe not 10x, but like at least like 3-4x, something like that, was because people were like complaining massively about this on YouTube a while back. So being that he's been a YouTuber for a long time, we got to include that, right? So if it was 3x, let's just say it was $7, it was $21 for every 1,000 views, and nowadays it might be $7 for every 1,000 views. Let's just give him an average of, let's say, $11. We're gonna go low. Let's just say $11, $12. So times $12. This would be somewhere where he's made from his YouTube ad revenue. I think. What I don't know is if they take out the money before. I think they take out the money before. I think the money comes out before. I think it's before. But this is like a rough number of what he probably got. And then he'll have to pay taxes on this. So, he's probably in California, so he probably got destroyed. 40%. Man. So Graham Stephan probably paid around this amount in this guy right here. Graham, good old Graham. Graham is a good guy, man. He makes good content. All right, let's see. Calculate Ross. Ross never had ads on his channel until maybe like a year ago or something. Yeah, I think he moved to Nevada recently, like last 2 years. But I think he was California before. Ross didn't have ads. Ross has to be doing well on ads now. Let me show you guys something, right? There's let's see. This 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 website isn't accurate, but it kind of shows something. But YouTubers used to make money, bro. Like, if you guys are familiar with like anybody who might have over 10 million subscribers back before like 2017, 2018, like if they had it, 2012, 2013, like they had like 10, the amount of money they've made is like on like, like Logan Paul, for example, is a good person. People will know him from like boxing. Guys like that, bro. Guys like that, like it destroyed the game for in a good way. Like they crushed it. Mr. Beast, he's more new, but still, I mean, for the new generation, Mr. Beast kind of, insane numbers, man. But yeah, guys like Logan Paul, cool, calm, 10 mil a year. It got to be at least 10 mil a year for those, back in those times. And that might have been just straight ad revenue. So, imagine there's a guy named FoozyTube that would make content back then, also around that type of subscribers. I saw a video where he was saying just to have a bottle of water in the video, didn't even have to drink it, but just on for that one video, have this bottle be placed on his desk was like 120,000. It's like, damn, like these companies are paying some big money. He'd get maybe like 1 million plus views, I guess, a video, but sheesh, $1 million for just a water bottle being in the video. But there's also like YouTube Premium, which it's an ad block, but it's also a subscription, right? And so it's a different way for YouTube to make money, and Google, I guess, by extension. A fake prankster. Yeah, back in the days, these guys had some insane subscribers and viewership. There's another guy that I saw who would do prank videos called Vitaly, a Russian hitman prank. These guys, they've made tens of millions of dollars. If any of these guys ever say that they're broke, bro, I mean, I don't know what kind of math. And imagine if they're like aware and they're like finance, like they're good with finance. Oh, back in those days, and just imagine you're putting like a quarter of that into the spy, dude. And they're sitting pretty right now, man. Vitaly, what happened to these guys, man? Oh goodness. If you're a little older in the audience, you might have no idea who these people are. But we kind of got into a bit of a conversation here about YouTube. Yeah, I think it's a good place to shut it down. Call it, lock it in. Slow month. Hopefully, you guys were able to end green, and hopefully even did a little bit better than I did, because this was pretty slow. In the Philippines, we shout out to Triad, who's in the Philippines right now. Triad Trading, one of the mentors here in the community. Some of these guys would get a little too crazy though, man. You gotta have certain boundaries, but sometimes it seems like these guys they would cross every line, for the sake of the content that they were doing, and it's a good way to get in trouble. Quick way. And yeah, I think that might be it. The Save interview. Hold on, I can tell you. Let me check the schedule here. The Save interview will be out on the 3rd. That will be this Saturday, I believe, at 8:45 a.m. I'm gonna do more interviews with every single person again. Again, we're gonna, there's more things we're thinking about. We're gonna switch up the format as well. Now that the people have the backstory and the history, we can do more forward interviews, get into more technicals as well, get into more of who these guys are. As long as they're willing to share, right? There's also going to be new faces at some of the trips. There's also going to be some new faces coming. Yeah, the schedule looks pretty good. We got Save's interview coming up, and then we have, I think there's a Q&A. I think that might be on Marcelo's channel, right? The episode with Tim will be out on the 17th, and then the 31st and onwards we'll have other content as well. But yeah, that'll do it, guys. Take care, stay safe, stay green. It's been RT, and I'll catch you guys later. All right. Catch you guys later. Stay safe, stay green.